So today's video is going to be about the femininity movement content. I'll explain. A couple of years ago, I don't even know how this came across my algorithm, but I started seeing these videos about femininity, how to be more feminine, how to express your femininity, how to dress more femininely, how to talk more femininely. And when I first saw it, I was like, I'm sorry, what? Like, I'm a girl or a woman, so everything I do is feminine, right? Essentially, what is this crap? Eventually, I started watching some of it. And I will say a couple of things right out the gate. Number one, if you don't want to hear this disclaimer, I'm sorry. Y'all don't have to deal with the comment section. I have to say, I am not responsible for everybody else's interpretation of this. I'm not responsible for what anybody else who does this is doing. I am talking about me, myself, and I, so I don't even want to get into it. I know there are some people who are talking some crazy stuff, but that is with everything, you guys. I'm actually like a creeper on so many online communities. Every single one of them has some people who make it look like crap. Okay, I don't know what to tell y'all, but I'm not responsible for what they do or what they think. Also, I'm not going to get into the word femininity with you. I don't know what else to call it. This word resonates with me. It means something to me. It means only good things to me. And I also want to say that this is a very welcome conversation. I do not think femininity or masculinity has anything to do with your peas and your carrots. So if you feel like you embrace this type of energy and want to hear about it, or maybe if you're just curious what it's all about and just want to hear what I think about it, that's what we're going to talk about today. Before we get started, make sure you check the down bar for links to my social media platforms. Thumbs up the video if you enjoy it. Subscribe if you are new here. You know you want to. If you're not new here, hey, what's up? Hey, your mom and them. Come hang on Patreon for bonus content and the book club. And yeah, let's just get started. So I can't remember exactly what I heard or which person or what perspective I heard that first kind of solidified it for me. This is something that I resonate with, and I can understand it. I can see the benefit of it. Tell me more. I really couldn't tell you what was said, who said it, but I have been kind of learning about this for a couple of years because I look at this as an energy. It's more an energy than it is anything else. I think that energy can inform some behavior, but I definitely don't subscribe to this whole thing. Like, I've seen this happening a lot where girls will be like, oh, you shouldn't wear this jewelry because it's not feminine, or you shouldn't wear this lipstick because it's not feminine. Like, kiss my whole ass. I don't care if it's feminine to say that. Like, I don't think that is the point of this. And if we're talking about the feminine energy, which I'll quickly talk about, feminine energy is receptive. It is nurturing. It is creative. It is positive. It is beautiful. It is soft. It's not like you can't sit with us. Like, that's the exact opposite of what I take from it. Like, again, I can't answer for what anyone else is saying. This is what I'm taking from it. It's a positive thing, and I think that we all have feminine energy within us to some degree. Some of us have a lot of it. Some of us naturally have a lot of it. Some of us have neutral. Some of us have none of it and want some, and some of us have none of it and don't want it. Like, it's all different people. It's just such a big world out there. Like, I do think that everyone interacts with this energy. I think we all have it. I just think that to talk about it, if you want to hear kind of my vibe about this, I will link a TED Talk down below. And I'm going to quote or paraphrase what this woman says, how she describes it. But at one point, she described feminine energy and masculine energy as basically like feminine energy is experience, masculine energy is results. And she used the perfect example in the video, which is drinking coffee. You know, I can slam a cup of espresso, walk out the door, I got my caffeine fix. Or I could sit outside with my cup of coffee and listen to the birds chirp and have a few moments to myself to kind of meditate and start my day. Either way, I drank coffee. Either way, I got caffeinated. So the masculine energy is results oriented and the feminine energy is more experience oriented, and it's how things feel. I've been talking on my channel for a while about healing. I made this big sweeping declaration that like, I'm going on a healing journey and you're all coming with me. And that's what we're doing. That's kind of why the content shifts and why I'm talking about things the way that I am. One of the ways that I have found healing is through understanding and nurturing feminine energy. I've been in therapy for off and on for, I guess October will be 3 years. I don't go very much anymore. In fact, I'm thinking about scheduling a session with her just so I can tell her how good I'm doing because I feel really good. But I've been in therapy off and on for years, and basically I felt like I understood, I don't know, the mechanics of myself and other people. But I think some people might be able to have just like a psychological understanding of things and that's enough for them. But I really needed to feel purpose. I need to feel purpose in life. I need to feel I'm happiest when I feel there's purpose to what I'm doing. And sometimes because of what I do, because I'm so hyper feminine, this is going to sound like I feel like a victim. I don't. Sometimes I feel victimized, but I don't feel like a victim. I'm just being honest. I do think sometimes that because I'm so hyper feminine and my interests are super hyper feminine. And by that, I mean, just, you know exactly what I mean when I say that. I'm not saying men do not have hyper feminine interests or what we consider traditionally hyper feminine interests. I'm just saying naturally for me, I always have. And at certain points in my life, I've dealt with like shame around that. I did a video on Patreon where I got into that. It was almost like I was born a certain way and the experiences that I had kind of took a part of myself away, and I would identify that part of myself as my feminine energy. I can be very outwardly presenting feminine anytime I want to. It's not difficult to look feminine. I can teach anybody how to do that. Anyone can teach. Just that's what my whole channel's done. Basic. That's hair, makeup, Like that stuff's really easy to do, but to embody a feminine energy is so different than the energy I had been embodying most of my life, which was masculine, because it was because of the way my life went, the things that led me to therapy. It was because of those things that I believed life was struggle. Life had to hurt. It was fight, fight, fight. It's all I knew. It was how I got my needs met. It was how I communicated. And it wasn't even just that I was fighting with everyone else. Even I was really fighting with myself. If this healing journey that I've been on has taught me anything, it's that so much of what we see in the world is people just interacting. They're doing this stuff with themselves. Everything they do is with themselves. They just like bump into the world and make other people participate with them. It's really, really clear sometimes how much of what we see on the outside is reflective. I mean, I've always been a believer of as without, so within. I'm more clear on that than ever now, because when I was outwardly presenting as aggressive and like fight energy, it was because I was feeling it on the inside, and it didn't matter what it was about. And that was a trauma response. I mean, I even went through a not like other girls phase because of like almost this idea that I needed to toughen up, be more like a guy. It's more beneficial. And I know, like I said, people are going to talk about, well, it's not necessarily guy stuff and it's not even necessarily girl stuff. I know. But I was performing it. It's like I would just hide my feelings, unless the only feeling you would ever see from me was mad, aggressive. You weren't going to see me sad or hurt or vulnerable or anything like that. I would just be aggressive. But then on top of that, I was also like, anytime I would see something that presented as feminine, so, you know, emotional, feeling, softness, light, bright, I just didn't want any part of it, because it was like, I thought it was weakness, and I had to turn that off in me, so everybody else needed to do it too, basically, if I'm going to call myself completely out. I was also the type of girl who, I get along better with boys than I do girls. And like all of this stuff I'm doing, all along not realizing how disrespectful to my gender that is, because the truth of the matter is, yes, being a girl is hard, being a woman is hard. There are tons of reasons that it's hard for us. Just the day we're born, there's things that are going to be hard for us that just men are not going to have to deal with. And even with women, there are certain women that life is shit tons harder than with other women, like black women. Like, I understand it's hard, okay? And some parts of it are kind of cool too. Some parts of it are just truly a blessing. Most of the time, with little exception actually, now that I'm thinking about it, when I truly look at what it is to be a woman, it's a beautiful thing. And I think that for so long, I have almost convinced myself that it was my weakness, which is only an issue because I think that that's who I am. It's like I was just fighting. Going back to the fighting, I was fighting what actually felt good to me, like who I actually was, because I thought I had to be a big, brave, strong, tough girl. And nothing good ever came of it, you guys. Like, when I really stop and look at what happens when you move through the world, when I moved through the world with that much aggression and almost resentment towards my gender sometimes, where it was like hating myself in a way because I just felt like the things that I liked and the things that I was into were wrong or said something bad about me. Once I learned about like feminine energy as an energy of just relaxing, kind of just feel, because I'm a thinker, I'm a fighter, I'm a pusher. I always had a really hard time just like letting things happen. Like, let's see how things unfold. Let me be patient. Let me trust the process. Let me relax. It's not easy for me because in my mind, that's weakness. To do any of those things are a sign of weakness, which again, that comes down to that masculinity thing. Sometimes you have to have that energy. And sometimes, many times in my life, I've had no choice but to use that energy just to live. But just because I was getting through the day to day with using that energy and putting myself in situations where that energy was necessary, doesn't mean that it was good or though looking back on it, I can see a million things I could have done differently if I would have made my life a lot easier and stopped almost like loving the struggle. I think that's another thing that came with me, is like with relationships with people. I got to this place where I thought that all my relationships were my responsibility. I had to make them be what I wanted them to be. It's all on me. And like, it's just such a bad vibe. It doesn't feel good. Feminine energy says like, y'all, I'm going to be over here reading and listening to some beautiful music. Y'all tell me what y'all want to do. I'll be here. I'm not going to get all in here and fight and try to control the situation. I'm good. I'll be over here. Now, this might be a very simple thing for some people. Some people might find they naturally are really good at kind of falling back. I am not. I'm not good at that at all. Most of the difficulty in my life comes from like deep, just needing everything to be a fight or a struggle. I think that, again, that energy does serve people well. I think there are times and places for it, but I don't know how to turn it off. It's the way I do everything, and it's not pleasant. It's not a side of myself that I feel restful in at all. Another part of this is like feminine energy with the receiving is it receives help. It accepts help. And it accepts care from other people, which is something I've had a really hard time with. I'm the oldest of 3 children, and I grew up in an alcoholic household. So I took on a lot of responsibility for my brother or sister, and I still feel a lot of responsibility for my brother and sister. Even though they are grown and I got my own family, I still, I just think it's been ingrained in me that I'm in charge and responsible for, I need to look out for and take care of and protect everyone around me. And it makes you like hyper vigilant in a way that is not pleasant at all. It's like you get taught one way or the other that you need to not only not be able to rely on anyone else, other people are going to have to by default be able to rely on you. It's just the way that I thought I had to live my life to be a good woman, basically. Like, to be anything else is frivolous and stupid and silly, and it doesn't make money and it doesn't get results and this, that, and the third, so it's useless. I mean, even things about the way that, around my household, I go out of my way, around the holidays, like decorate and plan events. And like, that's such a, I heard a quote one time that said, like, all that Christmas magic you remember, that was really your mom who loved you very much. And it's kind of true, because that's the feminine thing. That's an experience. That's like what we bring to the table. And some people look at it and think of it as something so frivolous and not important. And because some people do look at it as frivolous and not important, they don't engage with it and benefit from it. But if you almost can like change the way you look at the world and your life as something that you're going to make as beautiful and easy for yourself as possible, and actually like feeling into your, like, a big thing that I had to start doing. I talked about this in a video I did a while ago about journaling, where I said that I thought I had a lot of feelings. I thought I was very in tune with my feelings, but I wasn't. I was just thinking about stuff. And I thought I could just think my way out of whatever problem I had. I tried to figure it out. That was always the way I felt. And the truth was, I just needed to feel the feelings and move through the situation. But until I could do that, until I could have these feelings and just start moving through the world, and actually, it's kind of like I talked in a video before about don't fight with people, and some people thought that was just bananas. Like, to not fight with someone would mean you're a doormat or you're letting people walk all over you. And I was like, all I'm thinking is like, I used to think that too. Your relationship should not be full of fighting. But if you don't know that, if you don't know anything different, that just seems crazy. But now that it's almost like I just look at something and I think about how it makes me feel. Like, if I fight with you right now, I'm going to feel a bad feeling in my body. My chest is going to get tight. My heart's going to start racing. I'm going to start feeling angry. I don't want to feel that way. I don't care why. I don't want to feel that way. And if you're bringing that out in me, if this interaction is causing me to feel this way, we're either going to neutralize it and come back when clearer heads prevail, or I'm going to remove myself from it. And that's what I mean when I say I don't believe in fighting. If you can't get your needs met with somebody any other way but fighting, I just don't want to do it. And I used to think that if I wouldn't fight, or that fighting was noble and honorable, and that's what you're supposed to do, and you have to win. All of this energy that ultimately is toxic, but used correctly, like when you need to be tenacious and not back down in a job setting, or if you're doing anything that needs a result to come from it, a dedicated result. These are all very useful traits and tendencies, but when you do them with everything, when there is no need, when the result in this situation not only doesn't matter, but you probably don't even have any control over it anyway, it's a miserable way to live your life. And there might be any numbers of schools of thought or whatever that you could embody that could give you the peace that I have with all of this now, and that would be fine with me. This is just the one that resonates with me. Again, I know there's lots of opinions on this. There's lots of toxic opinions on this. I rebuke anybody who is taking this term and perverting it and making it about anything other than an energy that we inhabit and call upon when we want to live our most beautiful, juiciest, most gorgeous, best smelling, softest, silkiest, most like awesome life. Like, that's really what it is. It's just an energy. It's a vibe. It's for me, it has been marrying the psychological growth I had, and I feel like the femininity for me is part of my spiritual growth. In fact, a lot of my spirituality stems from the divine feminine and how I feel about Mother Nature and just women and that whole, I just think it's a beautiful thing. And when I was going through recovery, which is the type of therapy I was in, one of the things my therapist told me at the very beginning, that part of what helps a lot of people who are going through what I was going through is to have a higher power. And I completely support everyone's right to religion, but I am not a Christian. I'm not an atheist. I have ideas of what I think is happening or what it is. Femininity for me would be part of that, would be part of my spiritual belief, because it helps me. Spirituality is nothing more but something you have used to make sense of the world and the universe, which is essentially chaos anyway. But we as humans like to put labels and put things in boxes so that it sits better with us at night. This is the one. This is a belief system. This is a way of looking at the world. This is a way of managing myself, my feelings, and my interactions. And I think it's been... And you know what's crazy is it turns out that me feeling this way and thinking this way harms... Hold on. Let me run the numbers. Oh, it turns out no one. Turns out this hurts no one. If anything, I think it has helped my relationships in my life so much, even the one with myself. If you want to know how to practice femininity, because I am a big believer in ritual, it is the way that I think we as people enact. When you think about manifesting, then you have to think about the action, and the action becomes like the ritual of doing something. And I think of my femininity practices, which are things, mostly it's self-care. It's a lot of self-care. It's a lot of glowing up and taking really hard care, loving care of yourself. And then everyone around you and everything around you benefits from it, because that's what actually happens. It's not just a woman thing. When people are happy, everything gets better. If you need any proof as to that, just look around. Everybody's pissed off. They won't start with themselves. They want to start with demanding all this angry change and results, demanding results of other people, when really the solution to this is if we'd all just calm down and focus on making ourselves really happy and then trying to do some shit. Because nobody is working well together who is fighting all the time. And you're fighting all the time because you're fighting with yourself, and you're fighting with yourself because you're angry, and you're angry because you're trying to get a result that you can't get. Like, it just all comes back around to this for me. So yeah, I know this isn't going to solve all the world's problems. It might not be something that you resonate with or take any comfort in, but for me it's been really transformative and really helpful. And I'm going to make some videos about it on YouTube, but I think I'm going to bring a lot of that over to Patreon, because quite frankly, the minute I call something femininity, I think it's going to trigger people and I don't want to hear it. So I think if you end up on Patreon, like trying to engage in this content, you got some skin in the game and you actually want to be there for it. I really want to make Patreon this really interactive experience, this place for, oh, by the way, thank you to the patrons. This really positive place where women who want to hang out at the same vibration can do that. Like, when you're going through the kind of stuff I've been going through and you're healing and you kind of get like a new lease on life, you just want to share it with people. So that's what I want to do over there. Anyway, this video was long. I will catch you guys in the next one. I hope it made some sense. If I think of anything I forgot to say, I will link it down below. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.